So, you want to be in the top 1% of chess players. This video is going to teach you everything you need to know about surpassing 99% of the chess player base, and no, banging your head into a wall for 8 hours a day while studying the 700th variation of the Najdorf will not be needed. According to chess.com rankings, to get into top 1% of all chess players, you simply need to be above 1800 elo. And as someone who is above that threshold, I will share 4 tips with you today that will take you above and beyond that rating. And last one is the most important, so make sure you stick around until then. Let's start off with number 1. Tactics. Let's use John as an example. John is perfect in the opening, he knows all of the theory, all of the variations, and always comes out of the opening with an advantage. However, he absolutely sucks at finding tactics, and he ends up blundering pieces to simple forks and skewers. So, does John's opening knowledge have any practical use? No. Over 90% of chess games are decided by tactics, and this is especially true for lower elo. So pick up your nearest puzzle book or log into Lichess and start repping out puzzles. Now when doing puzzles, keep 3 things in mind. Material count. The first thing you should do when you see a puzzle is to count the material. This will likely point towards the type of tactic you should look for. For example, if you're down 2 rooks and a queen, the winning move in your position is probably not going to be capturing a free pawn. So by evaluating the material, you're going to narrow down the amount of incorrect ideas in the position. Quality over quantity. It's better to do 5 quality puzzles a day that you fully understand and that you absorb, rather than 50 puzzles that you just try to do as fast as possible. Replay and understand. Forget the point system, forget the timer, remember the idea. The goal of the puzzle is to teach you something, and even if you get it wrong, you can try again and understand why it works the way it does. If you're struggling with understanding the specific motif of the puzzle, such as forks for example, you can do more puzzles involving those ideas, such as forks, until you're more comfortable with them. Now, let's use the 3 previously mentioned ideas and put them into practice with this puzzle. Here we can notice that we are down a minor piece. Black has an extra bishop. We also notice the fact that Black's king is overexposed, which means that we're likely aiming for a checkmate, since simply winning a minor piece would not be enough, and we would still be potentially losing. In this position, we have 2 potential candidate moves, knight h6 and knight f6. They both look very tempting because they are checks and they force a move out of our opponent. First, let's take a look at knight h6. Knight h6 looks tempting because there is no bishop that can capture this knight. However, this king can simply go to h8 and we no longer have any follow-ups or any good checks. The variation ends here and we are losing. Alternatively, we have our knight f6 check. If king h8 or king g7, we simply have queen h7 mate. However, there is another option. Black can take this knight with the bishop. After capturing this bishop back, we now notice that this pawn is a valuable asset, as it protects both the g7 and the e7 squares. At this point, mate is unavoidable, and the best move for Black is actually to sacrifice the queen, just to delay checkmate. Now it really doesn't matter what Black does. Black can try to move the rooks out of the way to try and run away, but simply queen g4, king f8, queen g7, king e8, and queen g8 checkmate. Let's go back for a moment. Notice how we started off by counting the material in order to narrow down the potential number of options, which then led us to find the right tactical motif, which is to search for checkmate. This narrowed down our options even more, leaving us with just 2 options of knight h6 and knight f6, and through simple elimination, we were able to identify the correct move order and solve this puzzle. For a more detailed look on how to get the most out of your puzzles, check out the video that just popped up in the top right corner of your screen, and if you're enjoying the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. Now, a couple of weeks pass and your tactical knowledge is no longer terrible. Now what? Start playing longer time controls. Bullet and Blitz are literal brain rot and not for nothing for your chess improvement. So at the minimum, play rapid games. That way, you can use your newly acquired tactical knowledge to calculate variations instead of just trying to move as fast as possible. Longer time controls give you more time to think, creating higher quality games. Analyze your games. Okay, let's say you've played 3 games and you lost one of them. Ideally, you should analyze all of them, but if you don't have the time, choose the one that you lost because as Churchill once said, our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. If you ignore your mistakes, you will continue making the same mistakes and therefore never rise to your true potential.
But how do I analyze my games?
Well, simply click on the analysis tab after your game and go through the entire game while focusing on the critical moments to see if you can find better moves than the ones you've played. Annotate those variations and write down your thought process so you don't forget. You can do all of this for free through chess.com's site, and afterwards you can turn on the engine to see if you're correct. Now realistically, you probably won't be. That's okay. See what the engine recommends and play through the new line to understand why the engine suggests this move. Armed with this new knowledge, your thinking process will improve when you're playing games, and you'll be able to understand your weaknesses and the types of mistakes you make most often. Now lastly, have fun. Have fun because that's the point. If chess is starting to become like a job, or you notice yourself burning out, you can either take a small break or try new things that keep the game fun. This could mean trying new openings, playing Buckhouse, or anything else that brings the life of the game back to you. You don't have to improve 100% of the time, as the end goal of chess is, oddly enough, to have fun. That's it. You have all of the necessary information to become a top 1% chess player in the world. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and thank you all so much for watching.